Let's talk elevator.
Hey guys, we're back. We are back.
Y'all already know who it is. It's your girl, Big Riss.
They connected.
And it's T.
And we are back. Week 6. Topic is codependency.
Self-discipline? Not the topic?
No, it's codependency.
Oh, I thought self-discipline was the topic. That's not what we said last week. That the topic was going to be self-discipline.
No,
Where did self-discipline come from? Where did that come from?
It might be one of the next topics. You said that to me though.
That's why I said that was in conversation.
Because I thought that's what we said this topic was, self-discipline.
When we wrapped up last week, I was excited because we were talking about codependency. Girl, ain't prepared. It's okay. Wing it.
It's all good.
We all
That's
have
what
our
I do anyway.
days.
Yeah.
So, right now, she's
I'm
displaying
being a little
codependency
on. Well, okay, you can say that.
I feel like we all have moments where we are codependent on one another. And that's one reason why this is such a good topic, because throughout life, you're going to run into different people in different relationships, and y'all are going to be codependent in a way. And it has to be whether or not that's healthy or unhealthy, and how do you really feel about it? Like, is it codependency to the point where I can't thrive without you, or is it codependency to the point where I know if I'm going through this, you got my back, but on the flip end, if you're going through that, I got your back, and we're solid with that. It's healthy. We're okay with that.
Right, I was going to say, it's like, I guess you could say there's two different ways to be codependent. That's why I was like, oh, well, yeah, you could say that, because codependency, like you said, can be both healthy and unhealthy. I guess healthy ways would be like not depending, like the detriment of you doesn't happen if somebody else doesn't do something for you. That would be an unhealthy codependency. Your children depending on you is not an unhealthy codependency unless they're like 40. Then that's unhealthy for your children to depend on you. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we get caught up in that having codependencies when they are healthy, and then they become unhealthy because we're not like gauging the codependency, and then it's a hindrance now. It's no longer helping someone.
1000% agree with that.
And I also feel like codependency goes beyond people. Like, you can have a codependency with your habits, your bad habits. And I feel like for myself, my codependency comes into play when it comes to things that I look for as outlets to release, and that might not be as healthy for me, like, hitting my vape, smoking, drinking, things like that. Things that you would take to, I depend on those things. Like, if I'm going through a moment where I'm very flustered, I'm very worked up or anything, well, let me just smoke a cigarette, let me just hit my vape. That's a codependency to me, because I'm depending on that to bring me down when I really don't need that. All I really need to do is just take some time for myself, step back and breathe, that's when I'm working on trying to find different ways for when I do hit those frustrated moments. What can I do other than smoking or running to pour me a glass of wine? What can I do other than, maybe I need to take 5 minutes and just sit with myself for 5 seconds and just, bring it back down and bring myself back to a point of self. Or maybe I need to take more than 5 minutes and I need to step away from the situation completely and regroup. I think one of our sisters said that she had to take, time and really step back and be like, I know I'm frustrated. I know I need to have time to myself. So it's really just recognizing that instead of, oh, I need to go do this and calm me down. No, I need to spend some time with myself to get to me back to where I don't need to be dependent or rely on these things, because those things are not always there. So I need to be comfortable enough in myself, be dependent on myself. I'd rather have codependency with myself than be depending on things that can hinder me. if that makes sense.
Part of what you said, though, is like literally the definition. I looked it up. This is the Merriam-Webster definition. A psychological condition or a relationship in which a person manifesting low self-esteem and a strong desire for approval has an unhealthy attachment to another person an unhealthy has an unhealthy attachment to another, often controlling or manipulative person, such as a person with an addiction to alcohol or drugs. Broadly, dependence on the needs of or on another. So yeah. And it's not just like you said with people, because just like you with the vapes, I'm very codependent on a vape to the point where, like, last night, me and my boyfriend were talking, and I'm like, if you see my vape in the bed at night, take it out. And he was like, well, I stopped doing that because one night you yelled at me, you woke up looking for it, and you said, don't put my vape over there because I have to reach over you to get it. And I'm like, dang, I'm that dependent on this vape. Like, I really need to wake up and hit it that bad. So I'm training myself to put it on the dresser at night because I don't need it that much. I just want a little nicotine hit. You know?
She said, I just need a little nicotine. Little stress relief. I think it's important to not only just understand the codependencies that you have in your life, as far as like acknowledging them, because it's very easy to like tell somebody what codependency is, but like you just said, wow, I didn't even realize I was that codependent on this vape in order for me to whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we think that it's just like something we like, or we think that it's like just something that we do, when sometimes some things need some evaluating. If you find yourself maybe doing something a little bit more than what you may be even used to, or in stressful situations, you find that being the first alternative to what you do, that could like signify a codependency that you have on something. And not just like you guys said, it can definitely be more than people, drugs, liquor, sex, gambling, all kind of things. You are going to the strip club,
literally
going
attention.
out, going to bars. Yes, attention,
like social media attention,
craving
like
attention, depending on social media to validate you or whatever the case may be. And let's take it a step further to go into all of the codependent relationships that you may have in your life of people who are not maybe. I feel like a codependent relationship is someone who you go to and talk to them, and they don't do anything but feed the nonsense that you're talking about.
Okay, so we're not codependent. When I said that, we're not codependent.
So if I come to you and I talk to you about something, then I'm not expecting you to just agree with everything that I'm saying. I'm expecting you to just hear me, to vent, or whatever the case may be. But some people, literally, they have something going on, or something happens to them, and they gotta call the person that's gonna validate them, or say, yeah, you're right, because that is a codependency. They need that person to say you're right in order for them to be like, yeah, I was right.
That has honestly been something that has pushed me away from friendships. Like, always feeling like somebody needs you to be the yes man, or even wanting to be my yes man. I don't need that shit. Like, you don't need it and I don't need it
it's
either.
Frustrating. And once you start to really pick on yourself and you start realizing yourself, it makes it a lot harder for you to be in those relationships, because you're like, I'm not about to sit here and you know what you're doing wrong, I know what you're doing wrong, you just want me to say it's okay. Well, baby, it's not okay.
It's not. And it doesn't leave room to grow. If every fucked up thing I say, y'all agree with that, then y'all are not helping me grow, and we are not being true to the mission that we said when.
And you're not being my friend.
Yeah, the mission that we said we have for each other when we agreed to this sisterhood. If we always agree with the next, no. That's why sometimes I know we might drive each other crazy, because one of us might come with the bullshit with our feelings, and then somebody gonna say something positive, and you're like, I just want to be negative right now, but we just gonna keep saying some positive shit.
Right.
But sometimes you do have those negative feelings.
And then sometimes I understand.
Yeah.
Like
I
hearing that, I feel you. I understand exactly where you come from. You are exactly right. That was one of the things that I felt like when I was a supervisor at my previous job that made me stand out. The fact that I can relate to you. I understand exactly how you feel. Now what I can do is tell you and show you, this is what I would do. I'm not you, so you can make. But this is what I would do. Now, somebody that would be codependent would take that and run with it. Now, somebody that is not codependent, they would take that as an option or advice or anything. Just take that, you know what I'm saying, and just not necessarily run with it. But if they need to use it, or if they have that, then they have that, that advice or that word in their head, and it stays with them. But for someone that's codependency, like T said earlier, they looking for it. They're waiting for somebody to say, okay, I need you to go and do this. To me, that goes back to our previous, that's not trusting yourself. That's not using your discernment, because you're really just, like you said, attention seeking. You just want someone to validate you when you're not even validating yourself for yourself. That comes first.
Co means with.
Exactly.
So understand what co means. You need somebody to do this with you.
You said that, and you are specifically talking about the reference of work and codependency. And I feel like most of us listening to this are at the age where you know what to do or what you're supposed to be doing. And if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, that's when you ask for help. Stop being the adults that wait on another adult that might not even be an adultier adult to come tell you what to do. Stay like, when you're in these places of business, be who you are and stand up on your own 2 feet. That gives the next person less room to say something negative to you, to give you the mediocre task, like, hey, since you're not doing anything, just do this. And then you're really walking in your purpose. Whatever you really went there for that day is the energy you put out, instead of waiting on supervisor to come tell you what to do. And 9 times out of 10, you know part of the plan. And I mean that like on various workplaces. That happens in call center places. That happens in public retail places. That happens in the medical field. That happens in school systems. Like, any job that I can think of, I know somebody that's been in, or I've been in myself. You see that, and it really makes you not really like some of the people in the workplace, because get your part together so we can make this job better for all of us while we're here.
And it really is a process, because we have to remember at the end of the day, right? We have really been kind of trained to depend on other people, or depend on something outside of ourselves in order for us to be validated or whole or full, or feeling like we're doing something of purpose, or whatever the case may be. Especially when it comes to like a job, you depend on someone else to give you money to survive.
Yes.
You think in your head, if I don't have a job, I can't survive. That's how some people think. And it's not saying that, okay, you don't need an income to survive. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that you could go out here today or tomorrow and start fixing plates. And who says you're not going to sell out the first day? You could go out here and start your business tomorrow of detailing cars. And who's to say you're not going to have a line wrapped around the block waiting on you to detail their car? So instead of worrying about the validation part, and I think that's the important part of codependency, it's not really about just depending on people, because I think that that's okay, right? But depending on people to validate shit in your life, that is a problem. That is a problem when you need somebody outside of you to validate your feelings or how you're feeling. Like, even if what you're feeling is valid, even if your feelings are valid, the fact that you got to go to somebody else to get that validation or to say that that's okay, something's wrong there. And something is telling you that you're not right, or you're not enough to validate that. And that's something that you have to check into. Check into why maybe you're not feeling like you can validate yourself. Or check into why you always got to call sis and ask sis this. Or check into why every time you go somewhere, you got to have somebody with you. Or check into those things with yourself. You know how many friendships I've lost by being an honest person? You know how many friendships I have lost simply by telling someone when they ask me, okay? Giving someone my honest truth.
So they weren't really mad at you. They were mad with themselves at whatever you said because they knew it was true.
And they depended on my response to validate whatever feelings they had going on. And me as a person, as an individual, that's not my job. That's not my job to validate you, sis. Like, my job is to validate myself. My job is to make sure that, you know, I'm good. The people that depend on me, that should depend on me, like my family, okay? That's my job, to do that. My job is not to go and make sure that you are okay with whatever movement that you're making in your life. That's not my job. My job is not to be like, okay, well, what you actually see in reality is not true. You're right. That fake reality in your brain, girl, yeah, you're right. That's not my job to validate that. Mm-hmm. And if people are in your life that want things like that, then they're the codependent people, and you're the person that they're looking to for the codependency. So it's like, just like somebody with some type of addiction, there is someone who you know, supports the addiction in a way by giving you the things that you need, right? And then there are people that say, you know what, I love you so much that
I'll feed you, but I can't give you no money.
I'm not gonna do that. Okay? I'm not gonna do that, because that's not what we need.
And then I feel like in the same breath, sometimes we be having like healthy relationships, but then we build a codependent aspect. And I have reflected on 3 areas in my life that I do have them sometimes. And that's like in my dating relationship with my boyfriend. When we first met each other, he had all his own shit and I had all my own shit. And we still have our own things going on, but we're so combined that we both depend on each other for certain things. It's like, sometimes I feel like, were we lost before we knew each other? Because what were we doing? Because I really be dependent on you for this and you be dependent on me for that. And it's to the point where I don't want to be that dependent anymore. And I be telling him that, like, in some ways I want to rework on myself so I don't feel like I need you for this, and vice versa. And I feel like we've both been doing that since I verbalized that that's what we were doing. Like, that we were that codependent. We've both been, like, being more independent. And then I have a work wife, like, and I call her my work wife because we've been working together since we were at our last job, and we both left there. I went back, she was somewhere else, and we ended up at a whole new school together. And it's codependent to the point where I used to get frustrated with stuff, and then I had to take a step back. Well, like, damn, I cover you in these ways, but you cover me in these ways. And before we even said that we were going to do this topic, because we had talked about it, but then we didn't plan for it. Before we said we were going to do this topic, she had seen something on TikTok, and she came to work like it was a TikTok about work besties feeling like they need to do everything together, and the supervisor saying, y'all don't need to do that. And it was 2 teachers stapling the paper. One held the paper, the other one stapled it. Like, yes, we do. And that's really me and her down to, like, our breaks. Like, if we got a code, if one of us has to run out, knock on the door so you know that you about to cover both classes because I gotta go to the bathroom or something. Like, but you don't have that with everybody. Like, you can't build that relationship with everybody. That's how I know that we've become codependent. And then with friendships sometimes too. Yes, we be positive most of the time and we try to uplift each other, but it do be moments where we have our down ass moments, or either one of us need a drink, so we all need a drink, even if we didn't. We made our mind feel like, you know what? Sis said we need a drink. So, shit, work was a little long today, so I need a drink. And I need it with them because it's a bottle of wine in here, but it ain't the same by myself. Like,
and we about to finish that bottle of Delion on a Thursday.
I thought we called it Darion.
Darion!
I've loved Beyonce for so long that apparently it's a liquor out called Delion. And I told my friends, I love that Darion. You should get that again. And everybody paused on me like,
them James?
Girl, Darion. She got out the park now, baby. What are you talking about, Darion?
And now I look for Delion when I go. Since you've introduced that to me, I've honestly become codependent on it. Because I know that that's something that I could drink and have fun and not feel too crazy at the end of the night or the next day. So I've been
Reposado, not the white one.
2 different bars that didn't have it. And then I'm sitting there looking stupid, like, what else y'all got? Because I don't want that.
Remember when we were in Richmond, though, I was ordering that. I think I got all of us a shot or something.
You did.
And it was Deleon, because they had it in there. So I was like, oh,
Deleon,
yeah, we're
I
going
feel like Richmond set the bar. Why don't everybody else have Deleon? Y'all should have it.
Because we're codependent. We're codependent, so we need the Deleon. Where is it at?
And siblings, too.
Ooh.
Siblings are... And they don't be wanting to admit it. The older sister to the younger sister to the older. Siblings be forming that codependent relationship, and nobody else in the world will get it. Somebody will judge you for the things that you do for your siblings, like, out of love, because they feel like maybe
like,
your siblings taking advantage.
Doing all of that?
And you're like,
right.
You don't even understand what's going on here.
Right.
You'll start justifying their actions, even if you didn't want to do whatever they needed for you. Or vice versa, because it's all times where you might not always be the doer when it comes to your siblings. Sometimes they're the doers. Like, sometimes you just need them to do that. Mm-hmm. And y'all grew up from childhood with that type of love, so you don't even realize throughout life that y'all become a little codependent upon each other.
I like that. I feel like a codependency that is very blurry is the codependency from parent to child. Because, you know, when your child is young, you know, they do depend on you. They depend solely on you. But then how, once they become of their age, and when do you cut that off? When do you say, you know, I need you to be a little bit more independent. I need you to be, and for me, I struggle. I have 2 sons, so I struggle with that because my oldest son is 14. So I'm knowing 14... My 14 and his 14 is 2 totally different things. And so me, as a parent, I've been trying to recognize the difference of me being codependent on him. And me relying on him to do things that he should not be doing. He's 14 years, he's a kid. I want him to be able to enjoy that as long as he can. But, you know, with the Matrix forces you. I feel like the Matrix forces you to use codependency as a crutch, as something, when actually, if used correctly, codependency can be healthy. It can, but you can still flourish with that. Like, yes, I'm requiring more from my 14-year-old son, but in the long run, this is going to help you so you can structure more for yourself.
Absolutely.
And even as, like, children grow up into adulthood, you're saying this while he's 14. Imagine the person that's like 32 years old and their mom or their dad is like basically needing them in a way that they never needed them before, but it's not giving up. Like,
but me being so codependent up until my adult life with my parents, with my dad, is helping me to teach him to not be so whole. I mean, I'm in my 30s and I still call my dad. Which that's okay, but I should be able to make solid decisions within myself and call and tell you about it. Rather than, okay, I'm about to do this. Should I do this? No.
I feel that.
Reasons, and a prime example is with my job. Like any other time, and problem is with your work life. How many times have you been about to quit a job and you call your mama or your daddy? Damn, my mom.
I ain't calling them. I call y'all before I call them. They gonna say don't do it.
Listen. So they're gonna make you think about them. They're gonna make you get self-doubt. They're gonna put. So you're gonna ignore. I'm gonna ignore my intuition and I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with
off
that.
Of what you said.
Yeah.
Because I'm so dependent on what you said.
I'm gonna be dependent, and I'm going to. What should I do? For the first time, I'm 33. For the first time, I made a decision, and I did not say anything to nobody, not even my dad. Didn't say nothing, and I did. And when I say I felt, I'm like, I knew. When I did it, this is what I'm supposed to do. This don't look right to you, but it looks right to me, and that's all that matters right now. Yes, so when I get to where I'm at, and then we finally can sit back and reflect on this, I can explain to you that at this point in time, I needed to be dependent on me rather than dependent on you. And at the time, it might have caused conflict because we were understanding.
I was going to ask you, how did he take that?
We argued.
Because he might be used. He might be reliable on your
Why did you tell me?
Yes, he's
he
used
was
to that.
So gung-ho
Right.
on you tell me everything. Like, you didn't tell me this, and this is very. This affects not just you. This affects your children. This affects me because, you know, I help out with you. So I'm like, you didn't even tell me. So I felt him. But at the same time, I had to stand firm in myself, and I feel you, but I feel me a little bit more. I need to do this because I need you to understand that, yeah, you know that I'm capable of this, but I need to show myself that I am capable of this. And when I'm done, I'm gonna show, you're gonna see. I had to take these steps. I had to not let you know this. I needed to put this boundary in place because, codependency blurs boundaries. You don't have no boundaries with codependency because you're willing to do whatever for whatever. And I need to be able to do whatever for me. I can't do that for nobody else but me first. I got to be able to put into me, like, it's some things that I knew that I was codependent on my dad for that I can't no longer depend on him for. Spiritually, it's not allowing me to do that. It's creating so much of a friction that I need you to depend on yourself. If you believe and trust yourself enough, then I can open that door for you. The universe is gonna open the door to the opportunity.
Why you think
for
he
you.
the only door? Why you think like that? You don't believe me
gonna be
enough
stuck
to
in
believe
that house
that I could create a door out of this wall right here, but you don't even believe me.
You so codependent on always depending that you can go to your dad that you're not even seeing that it's so many other places that you can go. All you need to do is take a step back. And it was so interesting that you thought the topic was self-discipline because codependency goes hand in hand with self-discipline because it's so hard to put rules on yourself. It's very hard to do that. It's easy to do it to somebody else because you don't know them. You don't know what they're going through. So it's easier to put that stipulation on there. But it's hard to do it for yourself because you know what you're going through. You know what you're going to do. I ain't going to smoke no more. And something going to happen. And you're going to be like, I need to smoke. And
you know how many last vapes I done had?
There you go. I mean, it's just like, but that's where your self-discipline comes into play because you're going to be like, I'm not playing with myself. I'm supposed to do this. The reason why I'm stagnant, the reason why I'm still sitting in this space is because I'm standing in my own way. It's me versus me.
And you know when you could do something like to the point where I'm complaining about vape, but I remember when before that it was something called a clove that looked like a black cigarette. Then it was cigarettes. I was smoking Newport Shorts, hiding it from the world.
Newport Shorts in a box.
And that's horrible. I wasn't getting Lucy's. I went from Lucy's to a whole box. I was disgusted with myself. Like, so left the Newports alone, was smoking blacks. Sneaking smoking blacks too, because I didn't want the world to judge me. Then I'm like, okay, vapes are more socially appropriate. They don't stink, and I still get appropriate. I still get
But you know, you said something. You said you was hiding it from the world when really you was hiding it from yourself because you knew I don't really want. I'm doing this because it's a habit for me, and I know this ain't a good habit for me. I know I need to quit this habit. The world knows I need to quit this habit, but you are hiding because you are not ready to let that go. And codependency is really that letting the fuck go because it's going to be so hard for you to let go. Cause it was hard for me not to. When I got my new job, for me not to call, be like, I got my new job. It was so hard for me not to, and I'm like, no, you got the job, okay? Then just let them know when you got the schedule. This is all, just when you get your ducks in a row, okay. So when you got your ducks in a row, like I don't give a shit. I'm finding me something that's appropriate. Like you said, smoke appropriate. I found me a little vape. I'm still going to hit my vape. I'm still going to. So you're still doing your habit. You're still codependent.
I just adjusted it.
No, you figured a way to mask it. And to make it come and make it okay. Because you know deep down it's not okay. But you,
I do agree
but you put it's a codependency with yourself. See, I feel like once you understand that codependency, you really more codependent with yourself. It's what the things that you're allowing to flourishing in your life, like,
Right. Codependency, with codependency, you're the dependent.
Right.
The co is whatever it is.
Yep.
So you can only move with this, right? So me, dependent, excuse me.
Next
me
week,
dependent.
Okay? Next week, self-discipline.
Yeah.
Me dependent, co with. So Tiana moves with
Chardonnay.
No. Cabernet.
Cabernet.
I was like, It's okay, because Chardonnay used to be my shit.
It used to
My
be.
brother used to call me T Chardonnay, because I did used to drink Chardonnay. But
So you want the
Chardonnay's
names.
white. Chardonnay's white.
Okay, so you want it brown.
This is red.
You want it.
She said brown.
You
This
want
is
it-
red.
You want it melanated wine.
This is red. You know. And how long have I been drinking Cab? Have y'all seen me order anything besides a Cab?
For
If we
so
go out and
long
we
that
drink wine?
when we were gonna get wine for you without you, Marissa was codependent on your answer, and I'm like, we know she drinks this kind. Let's just get her one. I'm gonna get the one that costs $9.99 because those ones a little cheaper.
Yes, get the Snoop wine.
Can't get the one for
Cool.
$6.99. Get the one for $9.99.
I
Make sure I
love
got the kick.
the Cab. I do love a good Cab. But that is exactly what codependency is. Co is with and the dependent is me. And I have to do things with this, okay? And what I want to say before I start on my spiel is that I appreciate you both for being transparent
Absolutely.
in your codependency.
Absolutely.
Because it's somebody out there that's going through the same codependency as you and the same codependency as you and didn't even realize it was a codependency until just now when they heard that. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Because it's not easy to be transparent with people. It's not easy to say things that you went through or, you know, codependencies that you've dealt with. And when you both have said so many gems and jewels, and when I think of codependency, I'm sitting over here like, damn, did you share a codependency that you have?
Did you?
No. And I think I am so self-conscious of codependency now because I went through a huge codependency in my life. I was very codependent, and I love my husband. I love my husband a lot, and my husband knows I love him, and he is not going to be mad at me sharing this because he's with all the shit, you know, like he's with this shit now.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to lose a relationship with my husband because of codependency, because I was very dependent on him to make me happy.
Well,
and he couldn't make me happy.
Those
and
words,
so,
too, codependent to make me happy.
I was putting too much on him. Like me, us breaking up, when we did break up, I'm not saying that like I'm to blame, or I'm not saying he is to blame. It's a little bit more him than me, yeah.
Now wait a minute now. Now wait a minute.
Okay? But at the end of the day, I was putting something on him that was not his responsibility. And I was expecting him to make me happy regardless.
That's what I was about to say, your happiness.
You know, even though a lot of the reasons why I was unhappy was my own fault. I was unhappy because of me. It wasn't because of him. It was because of how I felt inside.
I'm so happy you're saying this.
It was
Because so many people need to hear this. The most
girl. Because when I'm sitting over here and I'm like, that's what I'm about.
That
Because I'm like,
resonates, don't it?
It really
ooh, they
does.
hit there. Ooh,
Okay.
they hit there.
You were unhappy because of you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was unhappy because of me, because of the things that I was going through, and I'm expecting him to see it how I see it and understand it how I understand it, when I'm not understanding that he's going through his own shit too. And I think that's one thing that we kind of forget when we get in relationships, is that people are individuals. And even though we come together and we make a relationship, or we come together and we build a marriage, that doesn't mean that you stop being an individual you and that I stop being an individual me. That just means that we are collectively working towards the same goal together, as we also collectively work on ourselves separately. And sometimes we get so lost in working towards the unit, and we fuck up and forget about working on ourselves. And it's like, why you not getting this? Why you not getting it? Because you got to get it, sis.
I did that. Like,
Because you got to get it,
we've been
sis.
together,
You gave me bumps.
I did that. Like, you're really hitting home with everything you've said so far. Because that's within the 3 years we've been together. The first year we were both like, oh, honeymoon stages, all in love. And we fell so hard in love that I forgot who I was a little bit. Everything was straight about, like, home, him, the house, home, him, the house. And then I'm like, well, damn, let me get back into me. Let me dive into some shadow work.
And then you have to reevaluate who that even is. Who am I now?
Because we changed.
Bitch, you don't even like that shit no more. So now what do you want to do? What do you like to do? Where you want to go?
Was it you a few episodes to say if I change every 3 months, like that,
then that's just what I gotta do.
You said every 3 months, that has really resonated to me because about every 3 months we go through a little shift within our bodies. Like,
you find something
your body
else out.
Your mind. Yeah.
You find something else out. You have to remember at the end of the day, if they pull your blood and they pull the anatomy of a star, it is the same. Well, I'm not gonna say the same. That's a lie. But it has some of the same components. Okay? So that means that whatever the universe is made of, even if we don't know exactly what it is, right? We don't know all the elements because we didn't pay attention in science. So we don't know all the elements on the periodic table. But what we do know is that some of them are in the stars and some of them are inside of us. So that means that the things that happen to these things outside of me, okay, sometimes have an effect on what's going on inside of me here. So let's say I am somewhere else and you guys are here, but we are both on a Zoom call. If I wave my hand, you're going to see me wave my hand on the Zoom call, even though I'm not sitting here with you. Mm-hmm. Okay? So whatever's going on up here, even though it doesn't have to affect me to the point where I have to say that that's law, but I have to understand that it's happening. I can't tell you you're not waving your hand and you're waving it, and I see it. And I see it happening. But I don't have to respond in a way that everybody else says I have to respond to you waving your hand. Or I don't have to respond in the way that you maybe expect for me to, respond to you waving your hand. Whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, we got to understand, if you not understanding that things that happen above you are happening below you, or the things that happen above you aren't happening here, then that's okay. That's okay that you don't understand that. But it's happening. That doesn't stop it from happening, okay? That doesn't mean that it's not real. So when you start to understand that, okay, things happen, right? Mm-hmm. That's what we call life. But I have the ability to not be so dependent on just saying, oh, well, things happen, so I have to go with that. Niggas ain't shit, so I ain't never gonna have no nigga. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I used to say niggas wasn't shit at one point in time.
Me too.
And I'm married.
I'm just saying I don't even agree with that in real life anymore.
I used to say niggas ain't shit until I realized that I wasn't shit.
And that's what a lot of females believe.
Because when I realized that, it made things a whole lot easier. It made me able to move a whole lot easier when you just as dirty as the motherfuckers that you laying with. So if this is what you choosing to do, then you cannot be mad at the result because this is what you pushing out.
And sometimes you're being codependent on the validation of this ain't shit ass nigga that you laying with.
There you go.
To validate you, and all you know what he validating? That you ain't shit.
There you go. Ain't
and that might sound rude to somebody, but that's very real. Mm-hmm. Because if you ain't shit, if he ain't shit and you laying with a nigga and loving on a nigga that ain't shit, then he validating to you that you ain't shit too.
What they say, you lay with a dog, you get fleas. Lay with a dog with fleas, you get fleas.
And while we're talking about literally laying with somebody, I'm going to touch back on earlier when we were going through the list of things that we be codependent upon that hurts us, and I said sex. I don't even necessarily mean like sex with the person that you're in a relationship with or anything like that. I mean like
T said it.
When you going through something and you and your feelings
and you gotta fuck
and you feel like you gotta go fuck, then that's like it's some deeper shit that you really need to heal, and that's the problem. You don't want sex. You want whatever that you're really.
I swear, if you rub it out, girl, if you rub it out and bust that nut, you are not gonna think about whatever nigga you was gonna call.
God, it was so
after that. You're not gonna think about him.
I'm so glad you said that because there's been many times that you probably be laid up in your bed. I be laid up. I'm about to call this nigga right here. And then I will go ahead and pull out some, and then by the time I'm finished, I'm like, well,
thank God I ain't called him.
Like you be like them, like dang.
Thank God.
So you accidentally followed your intuition, like you tried to hype yourself up a little bit, but that was intuition guy, and you saying, no, girl, you don't want that.
You just need.
It wasn't even your discernment.
You trying to bust a nut,
girl.
You ain't trying to lay with him. You just trying to release. So go ahead and do that. Release.
And most of the times when we find ourselves putting ourselves in those situations, the people that we do it with are not people that's going to feed our soul or feed our mental.
They teach us the biggest lessons, though. I feel for myself, some of the men that I've had in my past that I thought did me the worst taught me some of the greatest things about myself. I was not able to see that you are, like, even though I'm single, but I'm not single. I can really say that. That's very transparent.
Okay, girl, single, but she not.
I'm really not, because like how I look at things is like I spent time with myself for a long time, but one of my biggest problems is that I felt I was codependency with my pussy. Like I felt like if I gave you this, then I will get the things that I needed, when that was completely not so. In the space that I'm in now, I'm able to feel and see that it's deeper than that. Like like my person will look at me and I'm like, it's just seeing like this shit all through and I'm like, all you gotta do is look at me. I ain't never had that because I've been so used to that codependency of, I have to have this in order to have this. So for me to actually begin to receive things that are meant for me, to actually understand those, I'm like, I can understand that sign, that my body tingling. I understand what that means. I understand when somebody's talking to me, my whole body can move. And it's just by them talking to me. Or they can look at me or so.
Yeah, I'm stuck on that. You keep saying he look at you.
I mean, and the reason why I say
she's like, he look at me and boom, all my clothes off in the floor.
It's so crazy.
That's what I want to do.
It's so crazy because in my mind what I said, and I said it earlier, I said you can look at me and it's like a fucking faucet. It's like a switch, and it's just like all this emotion comes over me, and it's like I don't know
like what to do with it.
What to do, and it's like, but I'm okay.
It's okay. You learn.
I'm okay, and it's
right.
like I'm starting to be what I once was
Build
uncomfortable in. I'm starting to be comfortable and understand it, so I can receive. And I'm like, okay, so this what this feels like. So this is what it feels like when you connect with a motherfucker, other than just connecting my pussy to his dick. This is what it feels like when you connect with somebody on a deeper level that ain't got shit to do with y'all. Y'all coming together because I need you to learn something about you, and I need him to learn something about him too. So as we cultivate and as we build and as we, just by, not by having sex or just by fucking, talking and actually understanding somebody's emotion and being able to look at them and know, something's off. You having a bad day. What's going on? Like, for somebody to look at me and know, and I'm like, I'm always walking around like this. So for somebody to know something's off or something's wrong, and I'm permanent like that. So I'm like, I always come with that mask, I like to say, which I'm learning to take off of, because
I be thinking you mad, bitch. Yes, work on it.
And I'm really not.
And I love every single thing that you literally have said, because it's like codependency is not always something that's horrible. It's something that somebody is helping you with in that moment. And it's okay to need help.
It's okay.
It is nothing wrong with needing help. What I want people to understand is when help becomes a crutch. So when you become so codependent on this person, like exactly what you're saying, that's beautiful. This person has showed you how to identify certain things that you weren't even able to identify before, right?
Right.
But understanding that, okay, I'm understanding what I'm supposed to understand about this, but let me also be conscious and not make this be a crutch for me.
Let me use
saying
my
that
boundaries.
I can't get the validation outside of you, or I can't get the validation outside. What? Because nothing comes from anywhere but yourself.
Right.
So if you're understanding it from seeing it from him, he's your reflection, right? So he's a great reflection to show you, but understanding that you only see those things because it's already in you.
Yep.
It's nothing that he's telling you, or nothing. And I'm not downplaying him at all. I'm not saying that, but I want people to understand and realize that even though somebody else might influence something or like help something show out or show up for you, doesn't mean that they're the only source of what it is that you see or what it is that you experience. It can come from anywhere, as long as you become familiar with it. Now you're able to pick up on it if it come up somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying this, and it's literally making me think of like the point in time where I was going through my journey, and a lot of everything that I was learning came like from different people on the internet. And then I got to a point where I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself. Like, I have to stop, and I have to figure out was just for me because I'm in this spiritual page, this spiritual page, this spiritual page. All these people saying different shit, and it's confusing me, and that's for a reason. Because I need to be figuring out my own shit. And it's not even just when it comes to like your spiritual journey. That's life as a whole. It's going to be so many places and rooms that you walk into. And if you don't have your eyes and your mind open for you, and you're worried about such and such being that crutch, like if she don't come with me to this luncheon for women empowerment, then I ain't gonna go. No, you can't have that mindset, because sis might not want to go and you might really need to be there. So you gotta go for you. Like, you so right with that shit. But I really learned that when I was in all those pages on Facebook. I was too codependent to just being able to get on Facebook and go to a page and think I'm finding what I'm looking for, when half of the time that shit was cap.
Cap as fuck.
I love how it intertwines, because codependency is really, when you know of codependency, it's really using your intuition, your boundaries, and really making sure that you don't slip into those places of codependency. And when you do, start, you're able to recognize and be like, hold on, let's talk, let's sit down, let me think about this, let me take some time to myself, let's talk this out, so we're not codependent on one another to where we're hindering each other's growth.
Right.
So I feel
codependency is not a hindrance. Right. It is an elevation. It is an acknowledgement. It is a signal of some sort.
And
but if you feel healthy, like it is hindrance, stopping you, limiting you, that's a codependency.
Absolutely.
I feel like this has been a great elevated discussion. Like,
for real.
I be wanting somebody to
Can I say it?
Yeah, but hold on.
This is my favorite episode.
See, that ain't what I thought you was gonna say.
I always say that. I think this is my favorite episode. But
I really want somebody to tell us what an elevated discussion is to them. Because even with us saying how you gotta walk in your own shoes and see things from your own light, our podcast is Let's Talk Elevated. And we're talking about different topics that are important to us and that we feel like are important to other people. But what is elevation to you? What type of conversations do you feel like would be an elevated conversation?
Period. And we're going to get into that next week. What are we doing?
You picked it.
Self-discipline. Next week, self-discipline. We'll be back.
Love y'all.
This has been great.
Let's talk elevated.
It's my favorite one.